Notable Live is your fast track to one-of-a-kind experiences with your favorite athletes, like race day with Emmett Smith and Jesse Aruji, game day with Eddie George, or fishing with Ray Lewis.
And we got a party going on over here.
So, rev up your fan experience with Notable Live, your direct connection to the athletes you love and the memories and memorabilia you crave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Check out our latest events and auctions at notable.live.
I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. Yeah, you don't need 100 million like scores, 100 kids just for you to watch what I'm doing under the sun again. God-given gift, the C's doing the running man. If you want me to get it poppin', may cost 100 pence. Yeah, what I supply is always in demand. The throne is my take that. And then a high five got the upper hand. I'm too real, can't fake that. Who you know putting fear in them like this? You a vampire, still suck when you bite this. Lord forgive me for my sins, I'm feeling righteous. But they've been asking me to show me I might just. They didn't think I could do it, I had to demonstrate how the flow is so heavenly, keeping demons straight. Who they fooling? I showed them the jig is up again. When I asked them who was the best, they get this to stuttering. Tell them I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. I can't lose, I won't lose. I can't lose, I won't lose. You may wanna save yourself. I think it's best you run away.
sim racers, welcome to the eRacing Association, where you have the chance to win $5,000 in one of the best tournaments in all of sim racing. Green flag in the air.
Are you ready to reach the next level of sim racing? The eRacing Association's epic Omega Cup Series lets you win big. Racing with ERA lets you compete for huge cash prizes, get exclusive merch, exclusive sim hardware pricing, and potentially turn your virtual dreams into reality. Feel the rush as you race door to door against sim racers just like yourself, all from the comfort of your own home.
Straight away, they're an idiot. Oh, they're wrecking. They're wrecking.
Join now to get your membership and experience all of the excitement that the eRacing Association has to offer at www.eragaming.gg.
Celebration, he hangs on.
Tonight, the eRacing Association holds its Omega Cup SpringBowl as we make our way to iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway to see who can be the fastest and who can be the best at the World Center of Racing. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's coverage here on RaceSpot. I'm Justin Prince alongside the booth for tonight, Brad Dalton, Jesse Awuji, as we get ready to see which driver adds their name to the history of the ERA and who adds their name to a victory here on the Super Speedway. Brad, I'll start with you as we get set for a stacked field of drivers to see if they can pick up the win tonight. This event with a lot of history over the past 4 or 5 years with a variety of different tracks, a variety of different winners, and tonight we look to see which driver comes away as the winner of $4,000 for the one who takes the checker flag.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone around the world, wherever you're watching. When I saw this event on the calendar, I kind of had a bit of a pinch me moment. I was like, I have to do that. I have to do that. It's iconic. It's amazing. It's great to see all of the drivers, all of the names. And when we go down through the list of drivers that are in this event, I mean, it's a stacked grid. There are some great challenges through, and no better place than the World Center of Racing to be here tonight. I mean, it's February, it's Daytona season. We got through all of the fun sports car racing and Daytona Rolex fun things. Let's really put on a show here. Get the NASCAR out and let's play.
Absolutely. And Jesse, of course, the ERA now having big strides coming into 2025. This being, of course, a huge event for you guys here tonight. What's going through your mind as we look to see which one of these drivers is able to come away with an Omega Cup SpringBowl victory?
I mean, this is an absolutely huge event for everybody who's competing in it. There is $5,000 on the line. All these drivers are going to get the opportunity to go after that kind of money. And there was a lot of drivers who jumped in to try to compete just to even get into this main event. And then we narrowed it down to 50 drivers who went into their practice session. But then after that, 10 of them had to go home, even though they're already home already. But it's super cool to see this many drivers just jumping in to try to win these cash prizes that we're giving out for these events. We're in our 5th year now, and these drivers now, they get the opportunity to compete, be broadcasters, have these amazing commentators here talking about the race, going through the entire race as they're racing in front of all these fans who are watching online wherever they're at in the world, because people are racing in this event from all around the world, not just in the US, in Europe, South America, you name it. So to see all these drivers come together, have a good time, compete for that cash, it's just an amazing thing. So I'm super happy that ERA has been around for this long. We're in our 5th year, like I mentioned, and we look forward to continuing to having these events. But tonight, it's going to get pretty crazy.
It should be a pretty wild night, to say the very least, especially with us at the World Center of Racing. Let's take a look at the format for those who haven't followed along with these events before. As mentioned by Jesse, $5,000 is the purse winnings tonight for the prize pool. You must be a part of the ERA member list to be eligible for the prize money tonight. We are with the Gen 7 Cup cards once again here at Daytona. These drivers will be running for 60 laps the distance tonight for the main event to see if they can come with the checker flag. track. And Brad as well, Daytona, what else can you say? It's the World Center of Racing for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. 2.5 miles, high banking, high speeds. This is a track that demands precision. This is a track that demands braveness. And this is a track that demands patience. It's amazing to see how fast these cars can go through 2.5 miles. It goes by in the blink of an eye, but you have to be on your A game top to bottom. One little slip up and you can have a big moment here at Daytona, and it could be your race, your chase for the winnings out.
It should be a fun night as a result, though, to see everyone go full tempers and full blast around this track near 200 miles an hour, the expected speeds as these drivers make their way around the racetrack. And these drivers already getting themselves prepared for what should be a busy night. This field, once again tonight, Jesse, going to be stacked. You have multiple drivers from eNASCAR in this event. You have many of the regulars also coming in. This field's going to be one of the most difficult fields to be able to come away with a checker flag with how much depth there is in this field.
You know what? You're absolutely correct. And, you know, when people see a track like Daytona, even Talladega, right, these super speedways, everybody thinks, oh, it's pretty easy, right? Just stick your foot down on that gas pedal, just hold it down, and you should be all right. You'll be able to get into the race. You'll be able to compete. You'll be able to win. That's not correct at all. There's so much strategy that goes into these races. You got to be able to work with people around you. Sometimes they're going to be your friend. Sometimes they're not. And when they're not, sometimes it makes for a really bad day. But these drivers they're going to have to think, how am I going to make the proper moves? How am I going to be safe? How am I going to be smart throughout the race? Because at the end of the day, the only way to finish first is to first finish. You have to get to the end of the race. You can get as aggressive as you want early, in the middle, but if you can't get to the end of the race, that's it. Your chances are done for trying to get part of that $5,000. So all these drivers, they're all members in the ERA. They come from all different kind of places, whether they are just amateurs or they just barely got onto the service and they're pretty decent, or they race in the eNASCAR Cup Series. All these drivers come from all different kind of backgrounds, all different kind of skill levels. They're all coming together and they're all competing for that cash tonight. And I look forward to seeing how these battles take place.
It should be a fun night, but as these drivers get themselves all situated and ready to go, it's time for your national anthem. Please rise for your national anthem with Mandolin Obuji. Let's take a listen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Mandolin Obuji with the performance of the national anthem here today as we get set to go racing here at the ERA at Daytona. Brad, what's going through your mind here as these drivers are a few moments away from the starting grid procedure
Green flag.
and to be able to set things up for tonight, especially knowing you've got pit stops to think about, you've got the battling itself, you've got the strategy. This should be a fun night.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that comes to my mind is that 60 laps at Daytona. 60 laps doesn't sound like a lot, but then you remember Daytona is a 2.5 mile speedway where it's going to be bumper to bumper with some of the best sim racers that we can put on offer here. So when you put all of that together, it just creates this recipe for action, this recipe for disaster as well for someone somewhere tonight. Green flag pit stops are definitely an option here. You got to be careful with it though. You got to have a buddy. So hopefully if you plan on some green flag pit stops, you've got a friend. If you're going to pit under caution, you better hope that you get in and out and you nail those pit stops. That's something that I tend to see drivers, they may not think about the green flag stops. They may not think about hitting the pit box as much. And every once in a while, it comes back to haunt them.
Take a look at some of the driver cam setups here for tonight, and you see some of the various reactions for some of the drivers to prepare. And in our cases, just keeping themselves in full Zen mode, just trying to get their breaths in, and others keeping themselves very entertained.
Super funny to see some of their reactions, but it's great having these driver cams here, because just like in real life, when you have all these Cup Series drivers and even other drivers from other type of racing series, you always get these onboard cams. You get to see them in their helmet, but you don't get to see their facial expression. That's what's different with sim racing. Here with sim racing, you actually get to see their face. You truly get to see that emotion, whether they're doing well or they win. I mean, it just, there's so many different ranges of emotion. And when they crash, you get to see people get a little angry. So I love having these onboard cams here. I call them the at-home cams, just getting to see their facial expressions throughout the race.
Yeah, a couple of the NASCAR drivers seen with Jimmy Bolus in particular. I think Garrett Main's having a headlight on his head with the GoPro setup for tonight. He always has for his streaming side. But these drivers themselves, just getting themselves all geared up and ready to go. Still a couple more minutes until we get towards the starting grid and to be able to make things rolling forward here. So, that being said, ask you, Jesse, of course, big things happening with the ERA this year, because not only is there a lot of developments coming up in terms of the ERA side, but also the ERA esports team is a talking point for 2025 with the Coke Series coming up, with them starting next week.
Yeah, so for the first time ever, ERA, the eRacing Association, has now entered a competitive racing team in the eNASCAR Coke Series. So we're looking forward to seeing how our first year goes, right? We just did our version of the Clash just the other day, and we did pretty good. Had some top 5 finishes there for our drivers, Zelensky and Michael Cozy Jr. We're looking forward to hopefully having a really strong year, maybe even coming away with a championship. Who knows for this first year team? But it's our first time ever entering a team into this eNASCAR world, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. There's a lot of races out there. It's my first time having to pay attention the entire year to that series, so I'm going to be learning a lot. Our drivers are very experienced. They've been doing it for a while, so I'm sure they know all the ins and outs. But for us, it's super exciting. We look forward to continuing to grow it and growing our esports team in general, right? We're not just going to only just do NASCAR related stuff. We're going to do stuff all over, right? We want to get into all sorts of racing, all sorts of platforms, and continue to expand this esports team, grow it bigger, and have just a legendary group of people running and having fun and competing for whatever championships that they can.
I think there's a good chance in terms of the championship side, absolutely, especially when you put a good lineup like Zelensky and Cozy Jr. Cozy Jr., one of the stars that we've seen very strong the past couple years. Zelensky, of course, championship experience, battling for championships, should say, in the Coke Series. You see some of the drivers going around for final warm-ups here as they try and sort out the groupings, try and make sure they all work together. In this grouping on screen, Matthews Wack leading this set pack at the moment with Blake McCandless up in the box, 2 eNASCAR drivers. You also have Blaise Crawford, one of the eNASCAR rookies in this group, Brad.
Yeah, and as you see those pros and those rookies here from the eNASCAR series working together, there's some learning, there's some give and take, and some of this is just getting comfortable, kind of getting in that position of how is everyone feeling starting this race? Is there anyone who's going to come out of the gate, gloves on, boxing, swinging, ready to go? Or are there drivers that are going to be a little timid in the beginning? You're kind of feeling everyone out, and you're just getting comfortable. These drivers have turned millions of laps at Daytona at this point between their own practice sessions, practice here, of course, running through for qualifying. Everyone is just sort of running at a point where at this point it's just muscle memory. It's that warm up. It's kind of the equivalent of when you see NBA, NFL players getting out and about and they are starting their warm up sessions as a team. This is exactly what's happening, but it's more of an individual level.
It's a good opportunity as well to be able to practice things like the pit entry, like we're seeing with the grouping we're just following along with, and many other different aspects, such as trying to see how you work together. Just talking about some of the drivers again listed in tonight's field, you have eNASCAR drivers, Donovan Strasburg, LaPrada Munstels, keep an eye on Zach Novak as well, part of the list, and Malik Ray also entered in. But you also have, interesting enough, who was in that last pack, Anthony Alfredo, also going to be a part of tonight's field, one of the drivers who've made experiences with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Jesse, tonight the atmosphere expected to be very electric. Keep in mind with qualifying, we'll touch upon the grid in just a little bit. There was a decent spread in times, just trying to get the times in, but also just it was razor thin margins in some cases to get in. Your thoughts on this field as they get set to go, and who stands out the most to you tonight?
You know what? I mean, getting into this race is already tough enough with all the different kind of drivers coming from all the different places, trying to find a way to qualify in. But yes, when you come to a place like Daytona, really any super speedway, the margin for error is so small. I mean, sometimes it's 0.00000 whatever to be able to get in, right? Everybody is so tight because when you're running a track like this, you are wide open the whole time. So it's not like a track where you're going to like maybe a Texas Motor Speedway or Las Vegas or wherever, where you're having to lift a little bit. So maybe the mistakes can come in, maybe lifting a little bit too early or a little bit too late, getting back on the throttle too early, too late. That's where some of the mistakes can happen here. That's not it. So that part of the equation is eliminated. Where the mistakes happen is how smooth are you during qualifying? When you're running the high line on your out lap, did you maximize the entire track? Were you too low off? Were you too off of the wall where all of a sudden now you're cutting the track down? So now you're not maximizing your speed coming around that final bend before you get your green lap run in. So there's all these different things that you got to think of. Your line, everything, you got to be smooth. You got to be perfect. You can't be cutting at the steering wheel while you're in the corner, because every little movement could cost you a thousandth of a second something, and that literally could be the difference between you getting in the race or staying at home and watching it on TV.
Absolutely, to say the very least. These drivers just about finished up their warm-up session for tonight. Again, 40 cars strong, going to be racing here in this Omega Cup Spring Bowl this evening. So as the drivers get themselves all situated and ready to go here, one last thing I'll ask to you, Brad, real quickly is what goes through your mind when you're just getting this prep together, knowing you've got to zoom quickly?
It is very much a moment of trust your instincts. It is a case of don't think, just do. That is what comes to mind for me. And yes, I am quoting a big blockbuster aviation movie, but don't think, just do. That is what comes to my mind, because sometimes at Daytona, that's the best way to do it.
Rod and I will now go through the starting grid 6 at a time, shall we? As it's time to see how they qualified for tonight's race here from Daytona for our 40-car grid here in the ERA. But first things first, let's go down to the command for your starting grid with Willie Rofe of the NFL.
Hi, this is Willie Rofe, NFL Hall of Famer. It's go time. Drivers, start your engine.
13 years in the NFL, including with the Chiefs that are part of the Super Bowl. Here's a look at your starting lineup here today. Kevin Frias will start on the pole with Cody Eagles, one of the super speedway veterans in big-time events, in second. Matthew Zwack will start in the third position, the first of many eNASCAR drivers in this event. Ichiri Mazganov of Ryko starts in fourth. Ethan Eckhart will start in the fifth position, and Ronnie, your top 6 starting spots, William Esports is Donovan Strauss.
Yeah, moving it on from there. Kyler Wynn in 7th place, and the number 82 there, the 02 of Logan York, is going to bring it in P8 from California. NBG Motorsports, Matthew Baker in 9th with Briar LaPrade in P10. 11th place there, Landon Valik, and in 12th, Matthew Lee, rounding out your top 12 here.
Zach Novak will drive a Toyota this year. He starts 13th with Jared Lambert back in 14th position. Michael Guest, he'll start himself in the 15th position tonight, bringing the heat in the Vegas Inferno Machine with Nash Brambilla in 16th. Then it's Blaze Crawford in the 17th position. He'll start alongside Cody Harris to round up the top 18.
Revan Oswanoth in P19, Dylan Jones in P20, Malik Ray, 21st place there in the number 11, and Daniel Ebhart, the third in 22nd. 23rd, Yarkov Kursanov and Garrett Maines, 24th here today.
Larry McDonald starts 25th alongside Daryl Young. Jason Schilling back in 27th position. Julian Ricci will start alongside him 28th. Colin Bowden, he'll drive one of the RFK cars from 29th. Noah Dawson, the 30th position.
Anthony Alfredo in 31st place, Michael Sturgill in 32nd, Jimmy Mullins in 33rd, Cole Larson in 34th, Quamey Scott in 35th, and Joseph Galata in 36th place.
Rounding out your field tonight is Keegan Donnery, who will start 37th, Christopher McCullough in 38th. Then 39th, Michael Triscara. And then it's Michael Davenport who will round out the field. He'll start 40th. Once again, your race distance tonight, 60 laps for these competitors here from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. These drivers will also have one faster pair available, 3 green-white checkers, manual, full-course yellow cautions for this event, as well with fixed setups through the field. Jesse, real quickly, as you see those details now populate on your screen here, your quick thoughts before we take this green.
And it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be a wild one. I'm very curious to see how these first couple laps end up, because these drivers, some of them start getting aggressive quick because they want to work their way up front and try to control the race. A lot of people in this in these type of races, especially when you're sitting there having to draft multiple people, they're wanting to have control. But we're going to see. It can get crazy right now, or maybe in a few laps. No one knows. This Daytona, and we're taking the green.
Green flag is out. We're underway from Daytona. Kevin Free already changing lines. I was about to say, Free is moving up. Donovan Strauss forced 3 wide. Already seen a little bit of shuffling. Nobody dropping to the back as they make their way down the back straightaway, Brad.
Yeah, and as they come through the backstretch, look at drivers already shuffling lanes, already looking around, trying to get comfortable, but we're already pushing 3 wide early on. That's the fun of the virtual world. You'll see drivers that get very aggressive early on. They look through, and they'll be a little more willing to take some risk you wouldn't see in real life. And here we go already. Look at that. Drivers dropping low to high. Lap 1 done, though. Woo!
First lap of the event, Matthews Wack leads it at the stripe by a couple thousandths of a second. And now the game begins. A lot of people trying to fight for some track position. And now we're seeing contact. No trouble. That's Mozganov turned around to the heart of the field. Harris sent sideways. Caution flag is out already.
Second lap, the big one already happens. I knew it. Some of these drivers will get aggressive. That people are moving around a lot. Stay in line. Hold steady. You got 60 laps. 60 isn't 100. I know that. But you got 60 laps to make it happen. Stay calm, cool, and collected.
Yes, indeed. And unfortunately, we don't have it stay calm. In fact, we have the accordion effect of it for our first caution flag. The field trying to catch up to the pace car. Mozganov got a lot of damage from that turnaround. Here's a look at the replay.
Replay there, number 48 gets bumped up high, comes back to the middle, and well, when you have a spin that far forward in the field, it's just game over for everyone behind. And you got 2 options there. You check up and you hope that you get through, or you just hope you get through. Really not a lot of good options there. See this from the overhead blimp cam one more time. Through, down, and that was all she wrote, and nothing you can do behind.
Carl Wynn had a bit of that bobble in that first place. It's kind of lucky he didn't get turned around. Feel lucky there wasn't more than a few drivers involved with the contact, but just like that, our first caution, Jesse, in the early going here as the field gets itself regathered up. The kind of showcases how big any mistake can be amplified tonight.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you're driving at a track like this, like I said, once we get into these big packs, you got 40 plus cars. When you're using the draft, the speeds are getting upwards of 200 miles per hour or more. You're moving. So every little thing you do gets amplified. And on top of that, you have all the aerodynamic changes that are happening around you. So as you're moving, all these turbulences and the way the air is flowing over the cars, these affect the vehicles. They move them around and makes it a little bit more hard and tough to control the vehicles, especially in the corners. So when you any kind of little bump, anything, all that stuff affects these vehicles a lot. Something that maybe at a Martinsville, a little tap won't do much to you, but at a Daytona, that same level of tap will literally send you up into the wall. You get up into the wall, that's it. You're coming back down, you're taking people out. And then even if you don't receive damage from any of that, some of these people are trying to slow down, and you have very small brakes on these cars at these super speedways. So then sometimes you'll end up sliding your tires, you'll lose grip from that. You might have to just come in just to change your tires because you flat spotted them. All these different things are things that affect these vehicles that sometimes the viewers from home don't even recognize.
Yeah, and it's going to, in turn, be a night where you need to be picture perfect, right? And already we've seen a lot of drivers take the opportunity, by the way, to top off on fuel, knowing the fuel windows themselves could get interesting here as the night progresses here, Brad, to touch upon, because depending on the run, you can go more than 40 laps or so, sometimes up to 50, depending on what you can do here. So a few drivers are already thinking big picture in case they have to go long on a strategy.
Yeah, one of two things can happen here as we go through. That could have been just drivers getting the jitters out. A lot of people, from here are going to calm down. So some drivers are probably thinking, can I run the distance? Can I run, a long green flag run? Maybe just risk it out. Not what I recommend doing personally, but someone has to shake up the strategy somewhere. You're going to have somebody there that wants to shake up strategy, do something different. So if I'm a driver, lap 2 in, go ahead and pit. It's not going to hurt you. Just get the extra fuel. You're going to have to pit again. You don't have the fuel to get to the window. But if you can get that little bit closer, you never know. That little bit of extra fuel could get you the distance you need.
So the field getting set for the one to go signal. Matthew Zwack in control for the restart in the restart zone in the next lap. See him just trying to keep himself focused and dialed in, making sure over the radio too that he knows the restart zone is a factor. He'll have Ethan Eckert alongside Frias in third, Baker in fourth, then Gaudy Eagles will start in the fifth position, Logan York in sixth. And the interesting thing about this field is it also brings the opportunity to bring different types of drivers together across the platform. Zwack trying to still feel things out in theory up front to see who's around him and how comfortable they may be in terms of working with here.
Oh yeah, if you're Matthew Zwack, at this point, you're really feeling things out. As you said, you're just driving through, you're enjoying things. Started third, currently in first. This restart is going to be on him. And at this point, he wants to know what's around him. He wants to know, the drivers that are going through, because remember, a lot of these drivers are going to continue to race each other on the platform time and time again throughout 2025. This may be, the big ERA event, but for some of these drivers, this is a test run. This is them seeing what the competition is going to be for the full season.
Absolutely. Zwack, one of the drivers that's done very well in the NASCAR College Series as well. For those who have kept track of the College Series this year, should be fun to see him do well in an event like this, trying to control the field here. Once again, coming up to lap 6 of the 60-lapper. By the way, no DNF so far. Everybody came down here, took the faster pair, who was involved in the incident, including Mazganov. The only one who didn't use the faster pair was Swarnoff, who still has some right side and rear damage at the back of the Jack Shack machine. Up front, ready to get back to racing. Pace car is off. Zwack in control.
Green flag.
Green flag is out. Back to racing here, the Air Ray Omega Cup.
Good restart here from everyone as they go. It looks like maybe a little calmer here this time as they go through. Hop on board with LaPrade in 10th. Now make it 9th. You'll see a lot of drivers change places. There's a quick jump up to the high line from the number 2 there. The Track Racer Toyota in front. You got to really just keep it together here, but much cleaner run off of 2 here, Jesse, than they had last time.
It's clean, but they're still getting aggressive. I'm watching some of these moves that they're making. You gotta be patient, because at the end of the day, if you want to get to the end, if you bump somebody out of the way and they spin right in front of you, they're taking you out. There's just nothing. There's no way around it. So that's why you have to be smart. It's not always about pushing in the corners. It's not always about pushing. Period. Your line will move up. Don't get greedy. Just be patient. Your line will move up. Sometimes for these drivers, they don't want to understand that. They don't try to understand that. And then they end up in these wrecks. Just be patient. Your line will move. I promise. I've been there.
You say that, and then you have people also shuffling some of the drivers they may not be as familiar with directly out. A lot of side trap factor in too, Brad, where if you aren't careful in some of these 2-3 wide moves you'll see for Noah Dodson, for example, you might accidentally really slow yourself down to the point where you lose about 6-7 car lengths to car in front.
Yeah, it's not as simple to draft here at Daytona as you would think. It truly is as much of an art form here in iRacing as it is. There's the 82 going around on the front stretch. Did he save it? Oh, he saved it. Wow. Oh, my goodness me.
Wow, Kyra Wynn very loose, and he was one of the drivers trying to go to the middle for a moment. That didn't work out well after contact from Dawson.
I did not expect him to save that. We were on that on board, and I fully expected that to be game over. Caution number 2 on the night. Gathered it back up, though. Whole field did well to react, but now we're going to form the gap here. You're going to have the front pack. You're going to have the back pack. Let's see if they can close it back up.
Danny Arbohart, keep an eye on this driver here tonight. Always good on the super speedways. Likes to usually ride at the back, then strike late. This time, he's working with LaPrade and trying to get himself through the field as he goes for the triple car tandem with York and Kursanov.
Yeah, man. Drivers are feeling it here early on. I mean, they are really feeling good early on. Now we've gotten a few more runs, but look at that. Everybody is wiggly all the way through, trying to slot in, trying to find a slot, figure out what lane's moving where. And, you know, Jesse, I'm kind of with you on this one. I'm the driver that wants to kind of just sit back, be patient. You don't win races on lap 1. You don't win them on lap 9. You win them on the checkered flag at lap 60.
Exactly. So the key here at a place like Daytona and all the other super speedways is once you fall in line, just sit where you're at. Like, you'd be surprised if you literally do nothing, you'll just gain spots. Do nothing and you'll actually gain spots. You do too much, maybe you'll gain spots, but then you have a higher risk of just losing spots or getting wrecked and being out of the race. You can just fall in line and do nothing and you will move up. I've done that in real life. I've done it on the sim. I literally in real life did nothing for an entire race and finished 11th.
Yes, absolutely. Right now, these drivers shuffle some forward, some of them trying to move ahead. Some groupings starting to work together a little bit. Michael Guest is grouped up with his teammate for eNASCAR and Malik Ray, for example. As these lines all get sorted together, it's going to be an interesting conveyor belt almost of momentum, though, as the night goes on. Faster down the straightaways, up on the higher line, Brad. Better in the corners, at the bottom of the racetrack in the lines. These lines are going to also see people do what York is doing, try and block them both.
Yeah, York up here in the front is just very much trying to say, what line's moving faster? That's the line I want to be in. He's trying to maintain that lead here and watch him. I would expect York to decide here through the corner to drop down. Daytona is a track, a super speedway style where you can sort of pick a lane, make it work, whether it's low or high. You're not going to see kind of what you would see at, say, Bristol, where drivers want to enter high, hit the middle low and then exit high up against the wall. This one, drivers will find a line, they'll stick to it, they'll they'll run through. And then what they do, especially if they're up front, they just pick whatever line is moving and stick to that. But then they're going to get shuffled back and forth and around. The big thing is don't get discouraged by that. If you're still in a general position, you're doing okay. If your car's still on track moving forward, then again, if it's lap 60, throw out everything I just said out the window. You're going for the lead every time. Jesse, you and me both know this. Everyone who's ever taken place in any sort of Daytona race in iRacing, they know this. There's a single car spin.
Oh, that was a couple car spin. In fact, no caution. We stay green. That involved a checkup with York. That is Brambilla, who is pushed through the grass, who is coming offset 3 wide for a moment. Now they're 3 wide up front.
Man, taking it 3 wide up front yet again as they go through here. And look at this with Kwame Scott up in the front with Zachary Novak, Logan York. That's your top 3 there that were together, and now they split off. We're going to go to 2-car runs, and no, Logan York says, nope, I want that high line yet again, and let's go ahead and make it 3 wide there in the mid-pack. Top 25 here, Jesse, separated by about 1.5 seconds, and then you get about 3 seconds back to P25. And then from there, you've got another pack of cars going. So these top 25 or so really starting to separate out.
So it's funny. We're sitting there talking about, hey, drivers, calm down if you want to win the race. But honestly, we're enjoying this. It's kind of cool watching them moving around, getting around, going 3 wide, shoot. If they put each other 4 wide, whatever, it's cool to watch. As long as they can just, keep it from being caution after caution, it's kind of cool. But I was thinking, when you're driving on the highway, right? We've all been in that situation where we're in a rush, we're constantly changing lanes, moving around, doing this, thinking that we're going to get in front. No, we might have another. They gathered it up. Oh, he gathered it up. But as I was saying, we're moving around on the highway, and then we think we're going to, get past a lot of drivers. But then all of a sudden, that one car that stayed in the lane the whole time ends up passing us. I know we've all been in that situation.
I mean, there is one driver that you can throw into the mix of. I passed everybody. Kwame Scott, who is currently now leading that bottom line, who has already led a lap now, has gone all over the field. He started in last on the last restart, or was at the back at the caution period. Now he is one of the drivers fighting up towards the front of this field. Got shuffled about a lap or 2 ago. He's been everywhere in this pack.
That's a crazy stat there. If you're Kwame Scott, you are feeling good about being in that position where you're at. Currently sitting up 26 on the day as it stands there in 9th place. Now up 25, up 24. But again, this is Daytona. You're going to move up, down, all over the field as it stands. If you're up near the front, I'd say in this top 15 or so, at this point in the race, you're doing just fine. Lap 16 to 60 has just clocked off, and we are still running through, still seeing passes, still seeing drivers run through. And I mean, Daytona is producing Daytona racing.
I think that's an understatement here, Jesse. And how difficult is it to do what we've seen from someone like Kwame Scott, or in some of the cases, some of these other drivers in this main pack, like a Garrett Maines, for example, or Jimmy Moas, where you have to go from back to front in so little time, but also do it in an efficient manner where you just find yourself as one of the lead cars in your pack without disrupting anything else.
Well, here's the thing. Once you're in these packs and you see these different lines moving, you see people shuffling around, you see people trying to create a middle lane, things like that, people are going to, there's a high percentage of the field who are going to make a mistake and do the wrong thing. So the key is stay calm, stay where you're at, let that percentage of the field do the wrong thing, make those mistakes, and they're going to move backward. And just by that, you're already going to gain, 10 plus spots just by just letting that happen. And once that happens, and then people start calming down a little bit, from there you're like, okay, let me see which lanes are really starting to move and where's the momentum. A little bit of movement does not mean a lot of movement, right? So you'll see drivers, all of a sudden they see one lane next to them move up maybe half a car, and they think, oh, that's the lane to be in. That's not the case. You got to understand where you are on the track. How are people moving coming out of the turns? How are they moving going into the corner? How are they moving through the corner? How are they moving on the back straight, on the trial? There's multiple parts of the track that you got to see how the momentum is shaping up, and then from there, that's how you understand when to make your right move. But you don't just keep making moves to make moves, because then you become one of those drivers who have now done the wrong thing and go backwards.
Speaking of which, by the way, Michael Guest just went backwards after he went to the middle. Lap traffic at the bottom. Look out. That is Swarna, who had lost the draft from the other pack of cars from all the checkups. He's right now quickly getting split apart and quickly passed by the field, no problem. Lap traffic needs to be predictable in a race like this, Brad, and in that case, our first lapper was predictable as Malik Ray goes for the move.
Yeah, Justin, I don't think that lap traffic situation could have been much better. Look at this. We've got a pack of cars that are splitting off to the high side up in front from the middle. They take it through, send it 3 wide, and they're going to leave Logan York to dry just to drop all the way to the back of this pack, see where he comes out. And it's going to be pretty far down, all the way down into P20, continuing to drop out from that pack. Look at the bumps run as they go through. But with the lap traffic, you know, as a lap car, I mean, what I always do is I get to the low side and let the pack pass me around, tag to the rear end of the pack, and just hold on. You know, at that point, if you're first one a lap down, get the lucky dog, get the wave around, and, you know, get yourself back on the lead lap. Losing the draft here, it can be race ending sometimes. You are that much slower if you're not in the draft.
Look who's leading, by the way. Up front, Daniel E. Eberhardt. He's a very well-known driver in these types of events, as we're touching upon, has won in various different events at Daytona in the past on the big networks. And now is the one who's gone from 22nd to 1st to be able to lead things up front, taking a more aggressive approach here than what we normally see him in the league scene, Brad.
Yeah, and as Daniel goes through here, I mean, at this point, I've got to wonder, you know, what's his thought? Is this just a, hey, get here while I can, get into the position where I'm at? Or is this a case of, you know, look for something a little bit more and look for something, you know, forward, let's lead some more laps? Or, you know, what is the thought process here? Every driver has a different one. And, you know, Jesse, you know, as we look through drivers and as they look, every driver I find has a different personality in their racing style that comes out, and you see it more as they hit tracks that are their style. And for Daniel here, this is definitely a track that is his style.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, every driver has their different tracks that they like, that they're comfortable with, that they feel like they have a chance. There's tracks that I love that I know, hey, at that track I love racing at it, but I'm not really that great at it. And there's tracks where I'm like, hey, and I kind of like racing at this track, but I'm way better at this one than I am the other ones. So everybody has what they like, but they also have the tracks where they're more comfortable, they're more confident, right? And that confidence is key. That is what you need to be an aggressive driver, is that confidence in your ability at that particular track, in that particular car, to know that, hey, if I make this move, it's going to work. And that confidence also sometimes breeds some catastrophe.
There's the saying of confidence may lead to overconfidence, which usually can potentially lead to mistakes. Well, we're seeing the field really start to shed off cars, by the way. We are right now at less than 20 in the pack. They just also lapped Brambilla. There is the second pack. You see them strut apart. That's Joseph Galata leading them way with Mozgata, who's driven to 21st. Blaze Crawford back there. Christopher McCullough, Colin Bowden also in that group, and a couple others. So that second group, they're running 45.9s at the moment. They're actually closing in on the lead group because they're more grouped together here, Brad.
Yeah, and as they do that, that is going to be a very opportune moment for them, you know, get back up into that front pack, because then you're just giving yourselves more chance to run forward, to go for that win, to do more here. And it's a very good position to find yourself in. It's weird to think that, you know, the drivers need to work together, but they really do. Even though this is, you know, one person wins, one person takes the grand prize. Right now, your lap 24 is 60. You've got to work together. You got to have some friends out there. And that is really, you know, right now what we're seeing with that second pack. They're starting to be friends and figure out, hey, if we do this right, we'll get back up front. And that gives all of us a better chance to win. And if we have a better chance to win, you know, we want some money. So let's push this thing forward.
It becomes a necessity almost, Jesse, to do that, because, well, this pack in front's going, oh, that's not pretty. Got a win, door slam. That's what Matt. He got it again. That was with Matthew Baker this time.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. The skill necessary to gather a car at 200 miles per hour with the draft happening, all the air pushing you around, going through the tri-oval. That's some crazy skill. But like we were saying about working together without fighting, like they were just doing on the track. You have to work together with your group. When that second group was trying to catch up, they're being smart. When you start shuffling around, you're now slowing up the group. If you stay in line, you get a good group of cars, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars, and you just stick together. Everybody work together so you can get what you want. You'll get back up to that front group. And then once you get to that front group, then you can start moving around, doing a few things to shuffle around and try to work your way back up. But working together is key. And if people realize that early in the race, they're going to put themselves in a position to win the race at the end.
And by the way, I was just going to say, Kyra Wynn is still lucky he has the race car, too, on top of everything. Because for him to have two of the biggest saves in the race says a lot about how his car control has been to be able to keep this car surviving. We're already zipping our way towards the halfway point of the race, by the way. That's how quickly we've gone after the initial caution flag earlier on in this one. Eckhart lead at the bottom. Top line, Daniel Eberhardt up on the top side for the time being. Eventually, these drivers are going to have to pit here, Brad, and that might really split to the pack even more so if we stay green.
Yeah, and as a driver, if I see those big saves, I'm pushing as long as I can, as hard as I can, and just fingers crossed that there's a caution, and fingers and toes crossed that I didn't cause the caution. Because really, we all know pitting under green at Daytona is not the preferred method to pit. And you really, really want to run through. We'll see how things go, but green flag pit stops, it's starting to feel a little closer to reality as we run through. We've been on a pretty good green flag run. Those drivers that didn't take advantage of that quick splash and dash at our first caution, they may be in a position where it's going to be sooner rather than later here. We're not that far off from pit stops happening. You need to make sure your mind is there in order, and I hope drivers have started thinking about that and looking at that at this point.
Better yet, getting themselves in position to do so. Most of the field is starting to take some looks to the bottom like we're seeing with LaPrade. Interesting up a lot of tandeming, a lot of blocking. LaPrade having to get the elbows out, that time bouncing a bit off Frias as he went to the bottom, and Novak also blocked off the bottom with Baker. Now they block the top. Now LaPrade's going for the lead as Matthew Baker gets shuffled.
Let's take this 3 wide yet again. Here we go through turn 1. 3 wide, we hold on to it, little wiggle, but still keeping it together. They got the bumpers locked in, bump drafting through the corners, and let's take it down the backstretch here, see what lane can get a move on, see who decides to do what. It's still Zachary Novak up in the lead, though, and as we see here, everybody's still holding 3 wide. I think they're getting a little antsy here, wanting to see something a little different happen.
Eberhardt now makes the charge for the lead. Frias trying to go multiple lanes. They're racing like it's the last lap like here, Jesse. Guess who's up to third? Garrett Maines as well.
Wow, this is absolutely wild. And they're continuing to just gather it up. Even once they're getting bent out of shape, they gather it back up. And they're back to line. Still 3 wide.
Still making some aggressive moves. The 3 wide towards the back of the pack. This time the tandem draft working. Baker pushes LaPrade to the point. LaPrade doesn't even blink as he goes up to the lead. Still half a race to go, though. And this pack still 15-plus cars strong as they continue to go back and forth for who wants to control this lead.
Look at LaPrade. He's just glimpsing off to his other monitor. He's not breaking a sweat here. They're racing like it's the final lap and we just hit half race distance and they're not breaking a sweat. This is a casual day in the office for them as they run through. It goes to show the skill that is here today and that is shown up to compete. And I want to bring your attention to it here, Justin. Look back at that second pack here. We're on board with Dylan Jones. Next time we get a shot, look at that second pack still continuing to slowly reel things in, 2.5 seconds off from this top 20.
They're almost in drafting distance here, Jesse, and that kind of showcases how much work they had to put in to make up for the time lost, but also just how much speed you can build up when you line up. They are going to get another car to work with at least. Kwame Scott has lost the touch of the main draft.
Yeah, very, very interesting on how drafting works. I mean, it's very cool to watch, not only on the sim, but also in real life to just see when these cars line up, how working together really starts pushing them forward. You start gaining time. The key is stay in line as much as you can. Try to be as smooth as possible. Try not to do too much bumping. Like a little bit of bumps here and there are fine, but through the corner, you really don't want to bump in the middle of the corner because that will get someone bent out of shape. That will slow up your line. It'll check up. Things like that happen. But just fall in a as singular of a line as you can. Get everybody lined up. No one off of each other or anything like that. Just lined up. Stick like that, and I promise you, you will make your way back forward pretty quick.
And we're seeing a lot of quick laps being turned in the 45, 46 second bracket still. Still less than half the race to work with here as things start to calm down a little bit in this main pack. The thing is, this pack also is splintering cars. Donovan Strauss just about has lost this draft now as the run has gone on. And they're about to see a lot of lap traffic because for some of the checkups earlier, Ricci and McDonald are the cars up the road as they start to change lines in that main pack. Lap traffic also going to add more factors for that second group to catch up.
It absolutely is, and it'll add a little bit of, moments through, and what'll be interesting to see is what's the lap traffic do? Do they stay at the front here of this pack? Sometimes you see lap traffic that likes to tag to the front of the lead pack and not actually let them through and try to just hold on to that, hoping of being on the lead lap still. Sometimes you see lap traffic that's very willing to let things go, but the thing that concerns me as we come up on these slower cars, this just group of two is we're running 3 wide in the lead pack, and we've been staying 3 wide for a majority. They're gonna have to go double file to get past. In theory, yes, they could do it 3 wide still and take it 4 wide. They're not gonna do that, so they're gonna have to figure out how to work together again. That is something that is going to be a theme here for the next 25 laps that we have. Work together up until, lap 55, whatever time you decide to make your move. Through the line we go.
That sound you just heard of the door jumping in, I believe, might have been somebody we'll speak with in the next moment or so. We were touching upon the ERA Esports team. Michael Cozy Jr. will speak with the next moment or so. To be able to talk things about, I'll ask you this, Jesse, as things get sorted with him real quickly, is in regards to your expectations now for Daytona, how does this impact the expectations? Seen a lot of the drivers, particularly the eNASCAR drivers, find a way to tandem their way up to the front as we've seen, but also do it cleanly and quickly without losing time. And also, knowing pit stops are now at the doorstep with our first wave entering the pit lane.
These guys are experts, right? These eNASCAR drivers have competed at the highest level of sim racing in stock cars. They know what they're doing. They've been on these tracks. They've been in these situations. They've been in longer duration super speedway races. So they understand the game, how it's played. But not only understand the game, they understand a lot of these drivers that they're competing against. Like you said, there's more eNASCAR drivers now starting to compete in the eRacing events. They're jumping in because they know this is an opportunity to jump into one event and take home $4,000 if they win the event. Even if you finish second, you still get $500. Third place, $250. Fourth, third place, $250, and then fourth place, $150, and then $100, and so on. There's money to be won here, and that money pays for your iRacing subscription. It pays for your ERA membership, which, by the way, if people want to register and compete in these style events 4 times a year, you have to become a eRacing Association member. So the best way to do that is to head to www.eragaming.gg. And then you can hop in there, register to become an ERA member. Then you can compete in whichever events with the eRacing Association that you want. So once again, head to www.eragaming.gg. It's a very inexpensive membership, and you have a chance to win a lot of money. So low cost to enter, high money to win.
think you had that teed up perfectly, actually. But we do have Michael Cozy Jr. also now in, as he is a Super Speedway ace, made his name at the Super Speedway side, part of ERA Esports for 2025. Michael, first things first, what have you noticed as this race is going on? And several of your competitors have made this interesting up front.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, man, it's this package is interesting from the start all the way till out of turn 4. It's so tough to predict, and all you want to do is control it. And as you can see, there's a couple familiar faces up there that run this stuff really well and know what they're doing. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys play it out here in the last. I mean, we're getting down to crunch time.
Getting to pit stop time pretty soon. We already seen a couple drivers come to pit, but I will ask you, as now you're part of one of the newest eNASCAR teams for 2025. ERA Esports. How does it feel to be a part of the eRacing Association for 2025 and have a teammate like Bobby Zelensky?
Oh boy, I'm telling you what, I've been smiling ear to ear ever since they told me who my teammate was. It's all come together very fast, but it's certainly an honor to be a part of the organization. And you know, a new team starting off this season. I think we've got one heck of a driver roster, and we're gonna go out there with you know, every intent to win as many races as we can. It's going to be a lot of fun this year, I promise.
What's your thoughts entering the opening week of the... Hold on 1 second. We've got trouble in the pack. The whole pack just splintered apart. Caution flag is out as Colin Bowden slides. Several more crash into turn 1. The entire pack just splintered apart here, Michael, as we have our big one.
It's the one we've all been fearing.
Well,
so clean for so long.
right before pit stops too. How difficult is it when you have a situation like this where someone makes a lane change and then you have contact like this, Michael, in the race?
Well, it's pretty dang difficult if you just got in that wreck. I tell you what. I know there's some guys, though, that were probably looking for that caution, and it's just put them back in the race. And I tell you what, if you're one of those guys, my strategy always is to stay in front of that big wreck you're seeing right there. If you're those guys, you're a little sigh of relief. Whew, we made it through. We're all right.
Well, Michael, on that note, thank you very much for the time. Once again, what you get to enjoy the rest of this event and watch you along. Thank you so much for the time, Michael.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Michael Cozy Jr. taking some time to speak with us during coverage here of the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. With that being said, we'll take a quick step aside for a moment. We come back, we'll discuss things more. We're under caution with under 20 laps to go here from Daytona.
The ERA membership experience is leveling up. Coming soon, you'll get all event registration, qualifier information, results, and more all in one spot. We'll have stat tracking and leaderboards. For example, an automated iRacing integration, so you can compare how you stack up with others in the ERA club based on iRating, lap times, and more. You'll be able to see all ERA events, from iRacing to Forza and even Mario Kart. It's powered by channel3.gg, a platform for gaming and esports clubs and communities. Build your profile and grow your brand. Channel 3 integrates with social platforms. For example, it auto-detects when you're live on Twitch and puts you on the homepage. It can also automatically create posts for your Twitch clips. You don't need to do anything right now. We'll send more information soon, including a link to claim your account with one click. If you have any questions, reach out to hey@channel3.gg. Thank you for being part of ERA.
Pit stop party time on the racetrack as everyone comes down to be able to make it to the end on fuel. A few drivers getting lucky with the time of the caution. Blaze Crawford, Donovan Strauss, Matthew Zwack, who came in 6 laps prior, are now going to be your front runners. Again, happy to have you with us here on Race Spot for coverage of the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. Justin Curtis, Brad Dalton, Jesse Wooji with you, Hugo Wees producing for tonight. Just seen during that break, though, that there is a new interface coming up for ERA and the ERA website. Joel Willis now joins us from Channel 3 Gaming. Joel, how are you enjoying the race so far?
Oh my goodness, I'm locked in. I'm like so focused on it. There's been a lot of action. There's been a lot of action. These guys have got nerves of steel and so much skill. It's really impressive to watch.
So tell us about a little bit more about Channel 3 Gaming and how you became involved with the development of the new ERA members platform that's being developed.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing video games for a while, all sorts, motorsports related games, but also Rocket League and all these other games. I believe in video games' power to bring people together in a social experience. I mean, this event is like a great example of that. You see folks in the chat, talk about who's watching the Daytona 500 coming up, right? Like all of these things, it brings people together. So I believe in that so much. We created Channel 3 as a platform that can help build gaming communities and clubs, just like what ERA does with iRacing and even more than that. So I've worked with ERA in the past. Jesse and I have been on several streams together. We've even played Mario Kart together, right, Jesse?
Yes, we have. We played Mario Kart, which is very, very fun.
Well, as well, talking about the development going on for the website, heard some of that during that ad break that discussed a little bit about some of those features. How would you describe that feature set to be able to increase that usability and also increase the data points? Because one of the things mentioned was there was a lot of potential data to build up for these events for people to track for the future.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the main thing is just like getting the user experience very streamlined so that you can register for events and get all that information all in one spot. And you can get all of the communication, all the information about heats, all of that stuff, and easy to use location. And then you'll be able to look back on previous events because, look, I'm a huge data guy. Like, I'm a big data nerd. So just having like stat history, placement history, like all of the data from iRacing next to your ERA event history it's just a gold mine to me. I mean, I've been having so much fun today just looking through some of the stats for the racers who are racing in tonight's event, and how many Omega Cups have they participated in, and what's the average finish, and who's won the most, like all that kind of stuff. That's just fascinating to me, and I think the ERA members are really going to love it too, because they'll be able to watch themselves climb up or down the leaderboards.
Well, Joel, once again, thank you very much for the time. We'll let you get back to enjoying the action here tonight.
I love it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Joel Will was joining us during this caution period as it's time for the restart. 17 laps to go. Blaze Crawford elevated to the point. Off and away. Him and Donovan Strauss hooking up to begin this run, Brad.
Yeah, Blaze Crawford doing a very good job here to get away with Strauss. Win there, and then Malik Ray, Matthew Zwack still in the mix here as they come through turn 1 and 2. Still holding that double file run at the moment. Nobody's really looking 3 wide. As soon as I say it, somebody decides they want to brave the odds here, though, and then they take it right back 2 wide. We'll see here how long it takes drivers to really sort of, pull the cork out of the bottle, send things forward, start to push, start to get, a bit more into it. We're not that far to the end of the race. You just got to hope that drivers take it to the end here.
That's going to be the key thing. But also, we're expecting that intensity level to just ramp up even more so, Jesse. You're running out of laps. You're running out of time to get track position. And for a lot of these drivers, it's getting difficult. Zwack not happy, by the way, because he just got threaded on by Kyra Wynn and Michael Guest.
Yeah, there's so much that's going to be happening over these next 15 laps. They're getting down to the wire, but it's still not the end of the race. We're only 3/4 of the way through the race, so you can still be a little bit patient. Obviously, you do start having to think about, or having the end in mind. You got to think about, okay, once we start getting to about 5 laps left, where do I want to be so that I can make my move? Sometimes being the front runner, being the one up front, being number one, P1, sometimes that's not the best place to be at the end of the race. But you want to be at least in the mix so that you do have an opportunity to make a decision on what you want to do so that you can end up P1 when you're crossing that finish line. And we are seeing some moves being made right now. Decisions being made. It's getting wild.
See that with Donovan Strauss keeping laser focused. The bed is fairly made in the backdrop. I know that is a trope, right? You see it in the backdrop. I remember one of the interviews seen on social media after the first comment was, why didn't you make your bed before the race? But hey, you make sure it's ready and presentable when you're in the Coke Series, as he's going 3 wide now for third.
And as he brings it through this 3 wide here, I mean, you got to remember what's in the background of your camera at all times, and a well-made bed. It shows good presentation here as we go through. Look at this. Drivers are starting to get feisty. I feel like we're back on lap 1 all over again, but we're lap 47 of 60 here. Hop on board with Michael Guest running that high line there. He's leading that high line charge. And Jesse, I got to ask, is that where you want to be at this point?
Well, it's tough to say. I mean, I think that high line is staying reasonably calm right now, right? No one's doing anything too crazy, but I don't want to speak out of turn because it could get crazy here in a moment. But yes, that high line, at the end of the day, just get in line. It doesn't matter if you're bottom, top, middle isn't really going to work too well if you don't have help. But bottom or top, it doesn't matter. Just find a line and stay in line. Even if you fall back a little bit, it's okay. With the way that aerodynamics work, you will get pushed right back forward. It's going to be okay. Don't get impatient.
Meanwhile, as things have gone on, here's Malik Ray with the vertical look for the cellular cam tonight. He's one of the drivers that we know likes to be up front of these types of races. This is another one of these styles of races. He made his bread and butter in before really picking things up the past couple seasons in the Coke Series.
I don't know if you caught it too, but look at the car behind him. That's a teammate. I think if anyone's in a perfect position right now, it's Malik Ray there, because you got a teammate right behind. I mean, coming off of turn 4 down towards the trial, well, they're not going to care they're a teammate. They're going for the win too. But at this point in the race, running in through lap 49 of 60, having that teammate right there to help, it's nothing but a blessing at that point. I mean, you can't ask for much better in the position you're in than to have a friendly face behind that you know is going to help you move forward.
Yeah, they are bringing the heat so far when it comes to the speed they've showcased as a grouping together, staying together all throughout this run. But coming up to 11 laps to go, drivers made 2 massive saves. The factory setups machine, Kyra Wen, trying to control things up front. Matthew Baker at the bottom. Oh, and here we go.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, crazy. I saw the wiggle.
Caution flag is out again as they wreck. Logan York getting hit several times over in the backdrop in the 0-2. And with the way things were looking, you would expect potentially that to come up. It comes up with 11 to go.
Who still has their fast repair? Who still has their fast repair? That might make or break some people's races. Is that fast repair there, or are you sitting in pit lane for the next 5 minutes?
Jason Schilling's already towed the car. Everybody else who was involved in that, some of them taking some scrapes to the front nose. Here's a look.
Hard impact. Ouch. I could feel that one.
Big wiggle.
Going about it with the contact.
It's, we're not going to catch as many good saves as we saw early on, unfortunately. That's one of those that you see it in the moment and you kind of question, was that savable? The answer is no. And then look at the collateral damage come through. Just, ooh, big hard hit there into the wall on the front stretch. Ken, I say this a lot when we see these big super speedway wrecks. Thankfully, we're in a simulator. Unfortunately, some people have motion rigs.
Yeah, some yes. People do have motion rigs, and then I think as time goes on, the future comes. I think motion rigs will become more attainable for people. You'll get to a point where you'll have some that are inexpensive, and everybody will have them. And then all of a sudden, people will be feeling these wrecks, and they will be maybe thinking twice before making certain moves because they're like, "Hey, I don't want to feel all that shuddering through my motion rig."
But now it becomes the calm before the storm, so to speak. Wynn is the leader, and it's been amazing seeing him survive out here up front 2 times already, Jesse. We've seen Cower be at risk of being the spark of the big one, bouncing off cars, and now he's the one that's going to be in control for this upcoming restart, and is right now doing a solid job as the Pied Piper, or when we have been green lately, has been good as the Pied Piper.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot because now, once we do go green, I mean, we're going to have well less than 10 laps left, and we'll probably have, like 6 or 7 laps left to go. So now everybody is truly going to be fighting for that win. So as the leader, yes, you're trying to control, but some people think the best strategy is, hey, if the other lane's moving, just get in front of them. If that other lane's moving again, get back in front of them. If you keep making those switches, that's how you get turned. That's how you get moved to the back of the field. You got to just figure out which one's going to work for you and just stay there. It's going to be okay. If you're in the lead, there's just no way you're going to stay in the lead, staying in one lane, and then all of a sudden move back to like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. It's just not going to happen.
Garwin, someone who's won major events last year, won a major event here at Daytona. Now looking to do the same here in the eRacing Omega Cup SpringBowl. He's going to have to do it with about an 8-lap dash, give or take, 8 or 7 laps, give or take, to be able to work with on the board here. He's got a lot of eNASCAR competitors hungry to do so as well. Blaze Crawford, he's going to be someone to keep an eye on here, Brad, because he got up here with the strategy, ran at the back of the lead pack before the caution, before the pit stops, and now one of the newest eNASCAR Coke drivers on the block, looking to have good strides at the end of this race.
Yeah, I think if I were to hedge my bets on any driver right now, it is Blaze Crawford being there in 4th place at the moment. He'll start second row outside, just where I'd want to be in the moment here. Going through, it'll be 7 laps, ideally to the green, and sitting there, you're running second row, and just hold on to it is all he's really got to do. And it really, you just sit there. You know how the final couple of laps of Daytona tend to end up. The people near the front are going to start kind of pushing each other around, and then if you're in that 2nd, 3rd row, you can kind of just sneak a win out of nowhere out of turn 4. We've seen that happen before. We might see it happen again. Blaze Crawford, I think, is going to be my pick for the win here.
It's going to be interesting what we have on this restart. Coming up to start things off with about 7 laps to go. To reset your top 10, it's Wynn, Baker, Ray, Crawford, Guest, Strauss, Novak, Eberhardt III, Zwack, Eckhart. Scored to the top 10 last time by as well. And by the way, you have 3 drivers in the 30s that are starting 11th, 12th, and 13th. Cole Larson, that's a driver who's raced in a lot of these ERA events. He's in 11th, keep in mind as well. The youngster looking to see if he can prove something here tonight as well.
This is a very, very stacked field, and the more you look at the names, the more you look at the history, the more you look at the stats, the more you realize that any driver that wins this is in a very good position. They're in their element, and they are going to thrive under the pressure here going on through the final run. Lights are off on the pace car here. Jesse, any final thoughts here on what may be the final restart, depending on, I guess, how the drivers decide to handle it?
If you want to finish first must finish. Those are the only words.
Those are definitely going to reign supreme possibly here. There is the chance of more caution flags. Keep in mind, we have seen that happen where attrition's built up as the aggression's gone up in the late stages of a race like this. But we're coming up to start lap 54. It's Wynn, it's Baker on the front row. Still have 32 cars on the lead lap with a shot to win it. To the restart zone. Wynn goes a bit early this time with the zone. Green flag is out. Ray gets to his bumper. Wynn tries to hold on to the bottom of the racetrack. Will he try and block? Yes, he will. He goes top.
And now we hop on board with Blaze Crawford. Starting that high line, you're seeing the bump draft early on. Highline's trying to get a run here early. Malik Ray as well in the mix here just behind. We're coming through, and now we go 2x2. A little bit of 3-wide action near the end of the pack. A little bit of 3-wide action up front. Let's go ahead and shuffle things around a little bit. Let's get Blaze Crawford up here near the front. Second place, pushing Matthew Baker. Into turn 3 we go, and look at that. We're still 2x2, but you got some good battles up front. Coming to the line, it'll be 5 to go.
Wynn getting dropped all the way back outside the top 10 with that move. Ray trying to take a drink while also battling with the car. Battle for the race lead. The top 3 have really sprung out. Crawford's to the point with the help of Strauss.
Yeah, and Jesse, you'll know this just as well as anyone. If you're up in the front and you get a run like that, sometimes it's not the best scenario to be in because all of a sudden you get swallowed up by the pack here. Crawford, Strauss getting a run through down the backstretch. Will they hold any sort of a gap? Can they find a line to slot in, or are they going to get swallowed by the pack here, Jesse?
Hold steady, hold steady. Just be smart, be smart. 5 laps, I know. It's not that many, but it is that many. Hold steady.
Ray now goes to block. Meanwhile, he goes in front of Crawford, splits up the teammates for the Vegas Inferno cars. Oh, and some trouble in the back.
Oh, and there it is in the back.
Caution. Caution flag is out. Kwame Scott is the one did it. Kirsanov making some slams. Anthony Alfredo in it. And it's going to come down to a late race restart.
Man, not what the leaders wanted to see. They wanted this thing to run. They just wanted to you let it run. They were all in good positions. I'm sure everyone was confident. They were ready to go. But back of the pack, we'll see. Looks like it was just a little bit of a shuffle there, a little bit of a lane change. Somebody got loose, and well, one car gets loose. Daytona's so close, everyone's gone, and there it is actually.
That almost looked like a push in the corner that may have sparked that.
It looks like, yeah, looked like that was a push on the exit of 4. It was hard to tell who that was as we look here. Everybody now pacing through and just nice and relaxed. We should get a green-white checkered out of this, I believe.
Might be a natural GWC, and it's going to be interesting if we use one of those attempts. By the way, that was Christopher McCullough who got pushed offset by Daryl Young on the replay, just confirmed. So now, this is where you really have to think about the track position game and needing to plan and plot. Here's the look, there's the push offset, and that really stacks things up as people collide getting on the brakes.
Yeah, and again, the pack's running so tight, it's so fast here that one person getting on the brakes going, you almost don't have reaction time. Kind of goes back to that line I said early on, don't think, just do. When you're trying to avoid cars like that, that is all you can do, is just do something, and sometimes just fingers crossed it works.
Couple drivers took some hard licks of that, by the way. Briar LaPrade now officially out with the meatball flag. Looks like might have to take the fast repair if that. A couple others also have already used the fast repair this caution period, including Kwame Scott. Anthony Alfredo still getting mandatory damage repairs fixed. LaPrade has already jumped out of his race car. So it comes down likely to a natural GWC. There are 3 green-white checkered attempts if necessary if we don't get to the white flag, remember, in this race. So, Jesse, I'll ask you this. How do you try and hold on here, or rather take this win to hold on to the very end, especially knowing how this race has now gone in the final stages here?
At this point, there is no more strategy. You just have to go. It's time to send it. It's time to figure out who's going to be your friend for maybe 1 lap, but that's it. Your friends will last no longer than 1 lap. It is time to go. It is time to throw everything on the line because you have $4,000 potentially waiting for you at the end of this race.
Are you still sticking with your pick, Brad, from Blaze Crawford?
I am. I'm still sticking with it. He's in second place. He's in a good position here. Big thing for him is, again, who's that friend for that 1 lap? Jesse said it best. There's no strategy here. There's nothing. It is just what can you do to block? What can you do to drive? And, at the end, you got to cross the checkered flag one way or another. Is it going to be spinning around, or is it going to be in the lead? We'll see what Daytona can bring to us here.
Who's your pick going to be, Jesse, for this win?
You know what? I've seen Malik Ray win an ERA event. He's won one of these things. Now, is he going to be able to win a Daytona? I don't know. We'll find out. But I think he has a good shot. He's been patient. He's gotten through all these different wrecks. We've seen things happen. He's been able to maneuver. I think he has a solid shot at holding on to this lead and winning this race. Like that pick as well.
Won't be surprised to see him if he gets himself an ERA win here tonight. He is very hyped, you can tell, in terms of his communications, just to getting things dialed in. And guess what? He's one of those with a teammate behind for the restart, and Michael Guest to be able to coordinate for that start.
I think what's going to be really nice is seeing the teammates together. That's really, from Malik Ray, that's going to give something nice. But here's the thing. Michael Guest wants to win money too. Michael Guest also knows what's on the line here. So you got your teammate, you got your friend, but at some point the team game goes away. And when that team game goes away, it's all hands off, and y'all might be having some conversations after the race, depending on what happens. But hey, we got a natural green, white, checkered. We got 3 more of these things behind us if we need them. We'll see how this one ends up eventually.
So reset your top 10 for the restart. Ray and Crawford, Guest and Strauss, Baker and Novak, Eckert and Eberhardt. Then it's Larson and Maines rounding out your top 10 for this restart. 2 laps to decide it for the eRacing Association Omega Cup Spring Bowl for 2025. 5 years of history. We'll see who adds their name to the history books to end this one here at Daytona. It's all geared up and ready to go for what could very well be that final stretch of 5 miles to decide the winner. iRacing pace car is off. Do Ray and Guest go early in the restart zone to coordinate? Yes, they do. Green flag is out. 2 laps to go.
Good decision from them to take off there. They caught Crawford a little bit off, and they're going to get that low lane going. Very nice and simple here. And you can see Guest, look at the focus on that face. You can see he's talking with his teammate here. They're running through. They're looking for something. There it is. The block on the high line from Malik Ray on Blaze Crawford. They're going to try to just split the lanes together. Let's see if the teammates can bring it through here as we go around the backstretch.
Outside line Ray, inside line Guest. No peel downs yet. Now there goes Crawford. He's got Donovan Strauss with him. To the lead. Crawford to the point. If they take the white flag, it's a race to the checkered. Looking for Baker as he tries to push ahead Ray. White flag is out. Final time around from Daytona.
Then bring it down the main stretch here, going into turn 1. Look at Baker. I mean, he is holding that car together, pushing Malik Ray forward. Blaze Crawford down on the low line. Eberhardt has found his way up into 4th place now. Look at the wiggle there from Malik Ray. The 12 drops off. That's going to be a big spin in the background.
The crash down the back straightaway. Donovan Strauss, Michael Guest, and more. It is 5-6 wide down the backstretch. 2 cars can battle for the win now. Matthew Baker, Malik Ray, a 3rd driver, and Cody Harris has the pull of both. 1 more chance. Who's going to be able to make the cut? Oh, and Baker gets moved by Ray. Ray gets moved by Baker. Cody Harris bumps his way to the win. Cody Harris takes it in the Omega Cup Spring Bowl.
That is what I call a good finish. And look at the laughs there from the Ohio State fan. That, I mean, goodness gracious me, you couldn't have wrote a better finish through. That was hard racing. As soon as I saw the bump there off of 4, I knew it was gloves off. You knew it was game over, and someone had to get the win. Cody Harris was in the right place, the right time, and with a little bit of help from Lady Luck, pulls out the win.
And you know what else? The A51 Pro driver has been one of the regulars when it comes to these events. He is somebody who's competed in so many of these races in the Omega Cup from what I've seen over the years. This driver, the ADAS test engineer at the Transport Research Center in Ohio, able to come away with the win unofficially. He was 14th on the final lap at the stripe.
Watch this through, and as soon as that spin started in front of him here, going out of 2, the 12 drop low comes back up. We get going here, and look at him. He just keeps it in the throttle, splits it through. I mean, that is a mega move. Just down the gap, millimeters of a gap, gets through, and then it's just ride the draft through 3, ride the draft through 4. I mean, Jesse, you can't write a better ending.
This is absolutely insane. How did he get through that? And then he makes his way back up here, but the job is not done. The weak trying to push people out of the way. Both of them battling. He makes another move, still gets hit, still champions forward to win the race.
Yeah, the top 2 were spending so much time battling each other, they just let Harris just drive on by. And that Harris had to get some luck to be able to go through. Remember that 6 wide down the back straightaway. It just so happened he wasn't the one of those drivers who even lifted. He floored it through.
Chow. I mean, what else do you say to that, guys? That was a Disney Pixar move, if one could ever be found for Cody Harris. I mean, I could watch this all night because that was amazing. A little bit of help there from the 12 down the stretch. And then, as you said, the leaders were so busy fighting, I don't think they saw him coming from a mile away.
Yeah, and an absolutely wild finish, to say the very least. Again, what else can you really say from all that battling? Harris already celebrating. He's in the midst of Burnout City after that one. What a finish to the 2025 eRacing Association Mega Cup SpringBowl, to say the very least.
Top 4 separated by 7 thousandths of a second.
Crazy.
Ridiculous numbers.
That is the craziest finish we've ever seen in ERA for any Omega Cup ever. We've had some, last lap pushes, some last lap, bump and runs, things like that, but we've all seen that. I don't think we've ever seen someone come from that far back and win the race in less than half a lap.
Daytona, man.
Daytona, how about that indeed? Let's take a look at your race results again. Unofficial. Cody Harris taking the win by 16/1000 of a second over Matthew Baker. Eckhart rounds out the top 3. Eckhart in front of Malik Ray in the very end, as well as Matthew Zwack. Then it's Nichols in 6th position. Then Dylan Jones, Blaze Crawford, after looking good entering the final lap, finishes instead in 8th. Daryl Young and Jimmy Mullis, your top 10, Brad.
Yeah, moving on from there, we're going to go P11. It was Michael Sturgill, and then Landon Valik in P12. Kyler Wynn led some time, but ends up in P13. Keegan Daughtry in P14. Anthony Alfredo pulls it up into 15th place when it's all said and done, and Joseph Galata in P16. Cole Larson in 17th. Christopher McCullough in P18. Donovan Strauss in P19, and Daniel Eberhardt in P20.
21st went to Michael Guest after the big crash of the end. A lap down was Zach Novak and Garrett Maines. Matthew Lee, Logan York also a lap down. McDonald, Tresquero. Then you have Davenport, Kirsanov, as well as Swarnoff, all the way down, a lap down in 30th.
Yeah, moving on from there. 31st was Colin Bowden. Kwame Scott in 32nd, Jarrett Liebert in 33rd. 34th was Nolan Dawson. Eugene Mozganov in 35th. Brian Laprade in 36th. Kevin Frias in 37th. Nash Brambilla in 38th. Julian Rickey in 39th. And Jason Schilling, down 11 laps, was your 40th place car.
That's all talked about the running order here tonight from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway here for the ERA Omega Cup SpringBowl. Drivers are starting to get themselves all situated and ready to go for post-race interviews, and we have our winner already getting in position. Cody, how about that, from 14th to 1st on the final lap? How does it feel to be $4,000 richer?
It's almost unbelievable. Going into that last restart, I didn't think I really had a chance. It's with the change they did yesterday, it is so hard to get a run going, especially when you're further back like that. And then just kind of got going there, and then the seas just kind of parted, and I saw a gap through the wreck and got through there. And then I was just close enough to start pulling the draft off the front two. And then when the car behind me started coming up behind, it just gave me enough momentum. And they bounced off of each other in front of me. And then, yeah, just unbelievable. That was a lot of fun, that race all the way through.
What was going to your mind as the big ones started stacking up in front and you just floored it through the incident, no problem? And then you see what happened at a turn 4 with the leaders spending more time with themselves.
Yeah, I guess they weren't looking back behind me to see me coming. But yeah, off of 2, I saw them start to get sideways and there was a gap. And then the seas just kind of parted and I found a spot to go and was able to keep my momentum up. It was, yeah, especially after, I guess I got to practice earlier in the race. I was in 2 separate incidents throughout that. So it was a lot of fun.
How much does this mean to be in victory lane in an ERA event? Because you've raced in a lot of these events over the years. Now you get yourself the top spot here at Daytona.
Yeah, I can't believe it. You know, I feel like I always finish, getting a wreck or like between 7th and 10th. That's where I think I have been finishing in the past few. So finally being able to get it done just feels really, really good. It was a very strong field too. So it was just a very satisfying win.
Once again, Cody, congratulations on the victory. You are a part of history. You pick up the 2025 ERA Omega Cup SpringBowl victory. Congrats.
Thank you guys for putting this on. This is a lot of fun.
Cody Harris, having some fun going to victory lane here tonight. It gets the job done over Matthew Baker and Ethan Eckert for the top 3, or top 3 getting all situated and ready to go with the rest of our top 3, should say. Matthew Baker finished in 2nd place here tonight. He's catching up now with Brad Dalton.
Yeah, Matthew Baker, good evening. I got to ask, how's 2nd place feel there? You were pushing it through on the end. In the end, you come up in 2nd.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great. You're able to crawl back after Blaze and Donnie hung me out on that last restart, and then they kind of did the same with Malik and Guest to split up the teammates. I was just surrounded by a bunch of pros there with myself, just trying to hang out with them. I race with Malik and Guest, and sometimes Wax just came out last week for our PGR 500, but it was, man, it sucks. Malik got on offset on my right, so I tried to line back up with him to come out of the corner. He's talked to me through it the entire time. I knew he was going to push me till the block was coming. But when he offset to the right, and it pushed me up to line him up with his nose, it just hooked me. I was able to save it, thankfully, and I thought I was good. I saw Eckert come behind me with a huge run out of nowhere. When he shoved me, it just shoved me right down into Harris, and Harris is holding the bottom to his own, doing nothing wrong, and is drag race to the line, and just too short. 2 second places in ERA. It's getting pretty annoying.
Matthew, though, 2 second places. I mean, it's hard, though, with the competition out. You have to agree. I mean, this isn't necessarily showing up to a iRacing open lobby. I mean, you're racing against some big names, some big things. I mean, 2nd place is pretty awesome, but do you think there's anything that could have been different that maybe would have got you a 1st place here today?
I mean, if I would have been able to hold it down more to the bottom, I was gonna try and make the block with Malik. I know Malik was gonna block whatever run came with Harris. They just had a run that's just it's unrealistic to stop in this car, and it would make for bad racing. So when Malik and I got side by side, honestly, I think that was the best way for the race to finish, because we were side by side. The run came behind us, and you knew it was going to be 3 wide. But to speak on the competition, I'll be honest. This is probably one of the most stacked one of the most stacked super speedway races I've ever been a part of. You have a lot of money racing regulars in the community that we built over at PGR Esports with Michael Triscaro. You've got probably the top 10 dogs that are over there running in this race, mixed with about 10 to 12 pros and former pros in this race. So it brings out the best. Daytona, all 4 events bring out the best. I usually spot for Garrett in the other 3 because I can only hold the loud pedal down and turn left. It's not much of the braking and rolling through the corners for me. So I consider myself one of the better super speedway racers. So, but for all these guys to come out here, it was a blast running with them.
Yeah, Matthew, kind of looking at Daytona as a whole, I mean, this race was up and down all the way around. I know in the booth, we were all at points just kind of holding our heads, kind of just jaw down. I mean, was there any moment with you in the seat, just with anything crazy on this race today that you could think back on that's kind of like, wow, that was a big moment?
There was a lot. I got involved with the Brett and Cody made that block to the high side. Thought my race was over. I think I lined up 14th. We were able to roll the bottom side there, and then Tyler was also working with Malik and Guest there. I knew if he got clear up, I had 3 teammates behind me in Zwack, Donnie, and Blaze. So I was going to be able to really push the issue and try and force it 3 wide like I know Kyler would on me. So I learned from some of the best, and I was able to make some of the best moves just a little too short. Ethan almost got me across the line, but just a little too short.
Almost in that first place, but a second place. I'm sure your first place is coming up here sometime in ERA. Matthew, congratulations on a second place. Even if it's not the first place you wanted, still an amazing result here with a very competitive field.
Yeah, thanks. Just want to shout out Coasting Thunder, MBG Motorsports, Baker & Son Construction. Shout out to PGR Esports. Just put on the PGR 500 in lieu of the Podium 500 this past week. We had 240 entries, looking for 300 during the SummerSlam 499. If you like this type of racing, if you like to go fast, turn left, and money race for super speedways, come out to PGR Esports, www.pgresports.com. Thanks to Jesse and ERA for always putting on these events. I really enjoy running them, and I enjoy spotting for them, watching them. It hurts getting second, but it's great to get a result that I feel like I deserved for a long time. Hopefully I can get one spot better next year.
Yeah, and we'll see you back here next year, Matthew. Congratulations on second, and we'll catch back up with you later.
Thank you, brother.
Matthew Baker coming away second spot tonight in what was a tight battle up front. Then you have Ethan Eckert, who now joins us in third spot from Nightmare Esports. Ethan, what went through your mind as it was a wild finish? What did you see?
Off the restart there, I kind of got hung out, and I went to the back. It ended up being a blessing in disguise. I was mad when it happened, and then everything unfolded in front of me. Me and Cody got hooked up and started steamrolling.
What was that you mentioned in terms of hooking up with some of the drivers, for example, the steamroll? What was going through your mind to be able to plot and plan in a race like this tonight, especially knowing the talent level was up at the ceiling tonight, so to speak?
Yeah, I know I have the talent to hang with them. I do it all the time over in Money Racing, PGR Esports, all MMS, RMR, all them, Dega Pros, R&R. I race these guys almost every night. That's the main guys I was working with, all the money guys, Nightmare. I just tried to stick with my teammates as much as I could, go where the run was. That's really what I came in trying to do.
Overall, what does a top 3 mean to you to be able to come away in, not just into the prize pool, but also to be able to get a top 3 finish in a race like this?
Well, this is probably one of the biggest super speedway events that iRacing has in the whole year. I can't name another bigger one other than maybe PGR 500 and Podium, but Podium shut down. To get a podium is amazing. I'm kind of shocked I did it myself, to be completely honest.
Well, once again, Ethan, congratulations on the top 3 here tonight. It looks like you're already up on the wheel trying to get ready to go racing again.
Yeah, right. Racing's a ton of fun. It's pretty much all I do right now. It's the middle of winter, and yeah.
Let you get to racing then. Ethan coming away with the top 3 here tonight. I'd like to thank the entire top 3 for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Race Spot. And what a night of racing, to say the very least. I'll start with you, Jesse. Your thoughts on tonight as it comes down to a photo finish where Harris is able to drive on by with a last straightaway move for the win.
It was absolutely just an insane move, just to be able to get through all of that mess towards the end there, be able to fight through, stay in it, and still believe. I mean, at the end of the day, even once you get through it, it's sometimes you have some doubts. You're like, can I still make it up front? And he just continued to just truck on forward. He believed I can make it happen. And just for all of the great competitors who competed in this event, I mean, just big thanks to all of them, everybody. Whether you went to the heat races and you didn't make it in, or you got into the main event practice but you didn't make it into the actual main event, wherever you were, whoever you are, as long as you are an ERA member, thank you. Thank you so much for competing in our events. And for those who are not ERA members who want to compete in events like this and be on a lovely broadcast with some great folks who are putting this on, go to our website, head to www.eragaming.gg. Register to become a ERA member. You have annual memberships and biannual memberships. Jump into one of those, and then you can compete in these events. We have other events too that we put on other platforms too as well, but our iRacing ones are the biggest ones, and they are so much fun. It's so cool to see these folks out here competing, and now they get to win this great cash prize. Great job by everybody, all the competitors, from front to back, everything you did to be here, spend your night with us, compete, and put on a great show.
Absolutely. And Brad, what do you say about tonight, as well as Jesse definitely hit it home in terms of being able to be a part of this in the future? What do you say about tonight?
I know everyone has been looking forward to the Daytona 500 coming up very, very soon. I was looking forward to this, and this absolutely delivered. ERA has always delivered through time and time again, and it was just another stellar show. It's amazing to see the community that gets put together, that comes out and comes together, and seeing the absolute level of competition that comes out. It's amazing. There's names in here that you can look at and recognize and know, and some of the biggest names in sim racing, come out and compete, and they are racing through, for the prize, but they're also racing as friends. Every driver there, we even heard it during post-race interviews, drivers saying, hey, I recognize all these guys. I race with them, weekly here, there, other places. It's amazing to see that come together and culminate in one big event that really, you can say, kicks off the NASCAR season for iRacing. It's amazing to be here. It's amazing to be a part of it. And I can't wait for the next one in May.
It's going to be a fun time. Once again, that next one for the Omega Cup going to be in May, as touched upon. That will be at Nashville Super Speedway. But it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank Jesse, Matt, Tim, Steve, Kevin, and Sean for 5 years now putting on some of the biggest tournaments on the service. Thanks once more to the sponsors, a part of this event as well. For Jesse Awuchi, for Brad Dalton, for producer Hugo Wees, I'm Justin Prince saying so long to the rest of your evening. You've been watching the eRacing Association Omega Cup Spring Bowl, and it's finished, and more here from Daytona.
Sim racers, welcome to the eRacing Association, where you have the chance to win $5,000 in one of the best tournaments in all of sim racing.
Green flag in the air. Are you ready to reach the next level of sim racing? The eRacing Association's epic Omega Cup Series lets you win big.
Is he gonna throw the block?
Racing with ERA lets you compete for huge cash prizes, get exclusive merch, exclusive sim hardware pricing, and potentially turn your virtual dreams into reality. Feel the rush as you race door to door against sim racers just like yourself, all from the comfort of your own home.
Straight away, they're an idiot. Oh, they're wrecking! They're wrecking!
Join now to get your membership and experience all of the excitement that the eRacing Association has to offer at www.eragaming.gg.
Celebration, he hangs on.